And good afternoon. Thank you for coming to the March 11th Traffic Committee meeting. My name is Brian Cervantes. I'll be moderating the meeting, and I'll go ahead and let our voting members introduce themselves.
Mike Lloyd, City Engineer.
Joanne Burns, Deputy Community Development Director.
Robert Ortega, CIP Project Manager.
Awesome. We'll go ahead and jump into our second item, which is the Traffic Committee items taken to the previous Traffic Committee meeting. The three items that were brought to the last meeting was the traffic review of Cherrywood Street between East Garvey Avenue South and James Avenue, the traffic review of Frankfurt Avenue and Hollingworth Street, and the third item was the traffic review of Bromley Avenue and Ituni Street. And then for our new items, we have 4 new items today. The first is going to be the traffic review of Broadmoor Avenue and Roland Avenue. And for this request, the city is requesting a traffic review of the existing conditions at the intersection of Broadmoor Avenue and Roland Avenue. For this, the request was to investigate possible traffic calming measures such as installation of speed feedback signs near the intersection. And for the existing conditions, the speed limit along Roland Avenue is 35 miles per hour with a 25 mile per hour speed advisory approaching the curb. And Broadmoor Avenue is a 25 mile per hour prima facie speed limit. From the 2017 citywide speed survey, Roland Avenue had a 40 miles per hour for their 85th percentile speed, with an average daily traffic of 3,732 vehicles. Per the Caltrans road classification system map, Roland Avenue is a major collector and Broadmoor is a local road. Roland Avenue is 40 feet wide and Broadmoor Avenue is 32 feet wide. Roland Avenue has one 12-foot travel lane each direction and an 8-foot parking lane each direction. And Broadmoor Avenue has one 16-foot lane of travel in each direction with no marked center line. And as part of this review, we did look at the California Statewide Integrated Traffic Record System, or SWITRS, over a 3-year period between January 2022 through December of 2024. From this review, it was found that there was 0 collisions at the intersection. And now, based on engineering judgment and warrants found in the CAM, UTCD, and CVC, it was concluded that Roland Avenue near Broadmoor Avenue would benefit from additional traffic calming measures. And the recommendations are to remove and relocate the existing curve warning sign and advisory speed sign, and to install new signage on the north side of Roland Avenue. The second recommendation is install missing curve warning sign and advisory 25 mile per hour speed limit sign on the south side of Roland Avenue. The third recommendation is to install a your speed feedback sign on the north side of Roland Avenue. And then the fourth recommendation is to install a your speed feedback sign on the south side of Roland Avenue. The fifth recommendation is to install transverse rumble strips along both directions of Roland Avenue near the curve. The sixth recommendation is to refresh the existing yellow center line along Roland Avenue, approaching the intersection with Broadmoor Avenue. And the seventh recommendation is to install cross traffic does not stop signs underneath the stop signs located on Broadmoor Avenue. The eighth recommendation is to install 20 feet of red curb on the north side of West Roland Avenue. The ninth recommendation is to install 50 feet of yellow center line along Broadmoor Avenue. And the 10th and final recommendation is to refresh the stop and stop bar pavement legends along Broadmoor Avenue at the intersection with Roland Avenue. And if you have any questions, Jana's here as well to answer any traffic related questions.
Question I would have, and I think I know the answer, but I'll ask. The additional red curb that we're proposing on the northeast corner, that's just to improve sight distance at the intersection?
Yes.
Okay.
We're planning all the intersections for
That's something.
Because there's red curb on all the other corners,
On all
just
the
not
others.
this one.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
I don't have any other I don't have any questions, but as far as the recommendations are concerned, please separate the recommendations for the, like, refreshment painting to the items that we are actually, or you're actually recommending to be installed, so that we can provide the recommendations for the refreshments to maintenance.
Okay.
I do have a question. I see Roland is 25 miles per hour? Or is it 40?
Roland's posted 35, but there is a 25-mile speed
curve.
advisory because of that curve.
Which is why we're recommending number 5, the rumble strips, because of the speed.
Yes. The residents felt that that they were speeding through the housing, the residential area, and they needed additional measures to remind them of the curve as well as the speed.
Got it.
Mhm.
I don't have any comments.
Then we can move to a vote. All those in favor of approving and providing these recommendations to the city council with the change of providing the refreshing to Public Works?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Okay, then we can go ahead and move on to our second item, which is North Nora Avenue and West Roland Avenue.
I'm for 3D.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Perfect. We'll go ahead and start for North Nora Avenue and West Roland Avenue. For this, the city has requested a traffic review of the intersection at North Nora Avenue and West Roland Avenue. The city would like to investigate installation of an all-way stop and marked crosswalk at this location. Let's see. For the existing conditions at this intersection, the posted speed limit along both streets is 25 miles per hour. Currently, this intersection is stop controlled along the westbound direction of Roland Avenue. Both roads are classified as local roads per the California Caltrans road classification system map. Currently, there is no crosswalk at this intersection, and there is parking allowed on all sides of the street, and there is angled parking stalls along the frontage of Del Norte Park. And it should be pointed out that the southwest or southeast corner of this intersection is Del Norte Park. And for this one as well, we did review SWITRs for the 3-year period between January 2022 through December of 2024, and there was 0 collisions reported at this intersection. Additionally, a site visit was completed on March 3rd of 2025. For this report, we did have average daily traffic counts collected on Wednesday, January 29th of 2025. From this, it was found that for the northbound direction of North Nora Avenue, north of West Roland Avenue, there was 661 vehicles per day. For the southbound direction, there was 449 vehicles per day, for the day. And in both directions, there was a total of 1,110 vehicles per day on the day that we collected those counts. Additionally, on West Roland Avenue between North Foxdale Avenue and North Yelton, the count showed that for the eastbound direction, there was 391 vehicles per day. In the westbound direction, there was 323 vehicles per day, for a total of 714 vehicles per day on the day that we took those ADT counts. Additionally, we also did a 24-hour speed survey sample, which was additionally also taken on Wednesday, January 29th of 2025. And those counts that 24-hour survey was taken at the same location. So for North Nora Avenue, 100 feet north of West Roland Avenue, it was found that the 85th percentile speed was 34 miles per hour, and the posted speed limit is 25 miles per hour. And for West Roland Avenue, between North Foxdale Avenue and North Yelton Avenue, the 85th percentile speed came back at 29 miles per hour, and the posted speed limit along that segment as well as 25 miles per hour. Additionally, to determine the type of turning movements encountered at the intersection, traffic counts were taken at the intersection during the hours of 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Thursday, February 27th of 2025. And those counts can be seen here on the screen in figures 1 and 2. for the peak hour counts for the AM and PM. It was found that the AM peak hours were 7:15 to 8:15, and the PM peak hours were 2:15 to 3:15. Additionally, pedestrian counts were collected for all pedestrians who crossed the legs of the intersection on Thursday, February 27th of 2025, and those were taken during the hours of 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And those can be shown here as well, which shows the total peds, adult and school age, for all 4 legs of the intersection. And so this request was for always stop signs. So as part of the assessment, the potential for installation of always stops was determined based on the basic quote-unquote rules of the road contained in traffic laws and ordinances. The California Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, or CAM UTCD, describes applications, warrants, and placements of stop signs. There are several factors that an intersection needs to meet for the consideration of always stop control, and those criteria include minimum volumes on each of the street approaches, collision investigation, speed and traffic, number of pedestrians, and potential site obstructions. And then, as seen in the table shown on the screen, the intersection carries a low amount of traffic entering the intersection from both streets. And at this time, this intersection does not meet typical minimum volume requirements to warrant the installation of an always stop control. However, Del Norte Park is located at the southeast corner of the intersection, which offers 7 acres with playgrounds, a dog park, and is home to the West Covina National Little League. So although volume is low at this time, when spring season starts for children's baseball, it is expected that a significant number of children with parents will be using the park. And since facilities offered at the park are generally considered as local generators, a large portion of pedestrians may be walking from adjacent neighborhoods. The CAM UTCD Section 2B.07 outlines options for the installation of always stop control for areas that are considered as high pedestrian generators. And due to the road configuration with angled parking on Nora Avenue as well as Roland Avenue, vehicles may have obstructed view of crossing pedestrians at the intersection. And now, based on engineering judgment, the City of West Covina traffic request guidelines and guidelines found in the CAM UTCD as well as the CVC, the location at North Nora Avenue and West Roland Avenue would qualify for the installation of an always stop control. This conclusion was reached due to Del Norte Park being a high pedestrian generator with Little League, playgrounds, picnic benches, all located at the facility. At this time, the recommendations are to install a stop sign on the northwest corner and southeast corners of the intersection, install an all-way plaque underneath the existing and the proposed stop signs at the intersection, install red reflective strips on the existing and proposed stop signs at the intersection, remove and replace the stop sign that's currently existing on the northeast corner of the intersection, to install stop bars and stop pavement legends along North Nora Avenue at the intersection, and to install white ladder crosswalk on the east leg of the intersection.
Can I comment on this?
We'll have to, after, can you fill out another little form? That way we have it.
We could do it
Three.
after
This would be three.
C or B.
B. Just put 3 on there, so we fill it all 4.
Or just stick on there somewhere, Mark.
Yeah.
3B/.
Yeah.
I'll just put B on one of these, or
So on the, okay, so what I'm hearing, you guys are looking to do the stop sign there?
Yes.
Okay. I'm for that 100%. I go to the dog park there a lot. I've seen that street be used as a drag strip and also like a getaway corridor with police chasing people down the street. So thank you. Yeah, it's a very, very good thing in my opinion.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I have no comments on this one. I like the recommendations.
I don't have any comments on this
Number
one.
4 would be the refresh.
Mhm.
So it would be remove one of the stop signs, it's really faded, and put a new one in.
Mhm.
So do you want that one to be removed, considered as refresh?
Yes.
Sent to Public Works, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, my understanding of that, Joanne, is because it's not a new sign, right?
No, it's something that they should be maintaining.
So maybe they have them in stock, they can.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll motion that.
All right, we can go to a vote. All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Awesome. Okay, and now for our third item, it's going to be the traffic review of Workman Avenue and Tolan Avenue. And for this request, the resident requested a traffic review of the existing conditions at the intersection of East Workman Avenue and North Tolan Avenue. The resident stated there have been several collisions at the crosswalk in the past 6 months, and the resident is requesting all-way stops, speed humps, or additional measures to be installed to make the crosswalk safer for crossing pedestrians. For the existing conditions, East Workman Avenue is a 35-mile-per-hour posted speed limit, and North Tolan is a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. Currently, the intersection is stop-controlled along Tolan Avenue in the northbound and southbound direction. Per the Caltrans road classification system map, East Workman Avenue is a major collector, and North Tolan Avenue is a local road. Currently, there is a uncontrolled white standard crosswalk in the east leg of the intersection. And for both streets, parking is allowed except during street sweeping. East Workman Avenue is 38 feet wide, whereas North Tolan Avenue is 40 feet wide. And as part of this review, we also did a traffic review of the collisions reported to Switters over a 3-year period between January 2022 through December of 2024. From this review, it was found that there was 3 collisions at the intersection that were reported to Switters. And additionally, we did do a field visit on Monday, March 3rd, and site photos were taken at that time. As well, for this location, we did take ADT and speed survey counts. Both of those were taken on Tuesday, September 17th of 2024. So for the average daily traffic counts, the first one was in the northbound direction for North Tolan Avenue near East Idaho Street, and was found that there was 632 vehicles per day. At the same location, the southbound direction, there was 617 vehicles per day for a combined total of 1,249 vehicles per day. The second location was North Tolan Avenue near East Burness Street. And the northbound direction, there was 315 vehicles per day, and southbound direction, 303 vehicles per day, for a total of 618 vehicles per day. And for East Workman Avenue, for our third location, East Workman Avenue, 500 feet east of North Tolan Avenue. In the eastbound direction, there was 3,225 vehicles per day, and the westbound direction, 3,446 vehicles per day, for a total of 6,701 vehicles per day. As well, the speed survey was taken. The 24-hour speed survey was taken on Workman Avenue, 500 feet east of Tolan Avenue. And from the 24-hour speed survey, the 85th percentile speed was 38 miles per hour, whereas the posted speed limit is 35 miles per hour. So for this request, we did get a request for speed humps. And following the City of West Covina's criteria for the installation of speed humps, Workman Avenue does not qualify for the installation of speed humps. Speed humps are only recommended for local streets with a maximum speed limit of 25 miles per hour. East Workman Avenue for this segment is classified as a major collector road with a posted speed limit of 35 miles per hour, which exceeds the maximum recommended for the installation of speed humps. Additionally, this location was requested for all-way stop. So those would follow the same criteria that was gone over in the last item, which includes a minimum volume on each of the street's approaches, the collision investigation, speed of traffic, number of pedestrians, and potential site obstructions at the intersection. And as seen in this table, these are the warrants for the stop signs. So the intersection of East Workman Avenue and North Tolan Avenue only meets warrants for East Workman Avenue. The traffic volumes presented along Tolan Avenue were significantly low and did not meet warrants for any of the peak 8 hours. Therefore, it was concluded that this intersection does not meet warrants for the installation of an all-way stop at this time. And based on this and engineering judgment, the City of West Covina traffic request guidelines and guidelines found in the CAM UTCD and CVC, the intersection of East Workman Avenue and Tolan Avenue does not qualify for the installation of all-way stop or speed humps at this time. The traffic volumes presented along Tolan Avenue were significantly low and did not meet the minimum requirements for installation of a stop sign. Furthermore, East Workman Avenue did not meet the street characteristics stated in West Covina's criteria for the installation of speed humps. Instead, the recommendations are the following, which the first is to remove and replace the existing stop sign located on the southeast corner of the intersection. The second is to install cross-traffic does not stop plaques underneath the existing stop signs at the intersection. The third is to remove and replace both pedestrian warning signs and downward arrow signs at the intersection. The fourth recommendation is to remove and replace both pedestrian warning signs and ahead plaques for the eastbound and westbound direction. The fifth recommendation is to refresh/repaint the existing stop bars and stop legends located on the north and south legs of the intersection. The sixth recommendation is to refresh and repaint the existing white ladder crosswalk on the east leg of the intersection. The seventh recommendation is to install stop ahead signs on the east side of Tolan Avenue. And the eighth recommendation is to install stop ahead warning signs on the west side of Tolan Avenue. I believe we have.
Just for clarification, the reason this one wasn't the same as the last one we looked at for always stop is this one only had 2 pedestrians. So it was very little pedestrians crossing, so it was hard to, would be hard to justify an always stop because it did not meet the warrants for volume. So normally, if it doesn't meet volume, we look at pedestrians, see if is it by a high head generator? I think it's on a path, but it's not right next to a high pedestrian generator. So when we did the count, it was very little pedestrian traffic, is why we have that. And then for replacing the PED signs, I don't know if you can go to the aerial. They are the orange, which we would like to replace, I know it doesn't say it in here, with the neon green fluorescent color that stands out more, and also make it double-sided for the PED signs. Because, can you get the aerial?
Yeah, that one?
No, the aerial on Google.
Oh, yes.
Not on the report. Because it's a little difficult situation that Michael may be able to look at it, is that both of the directions of the PED signs are further away from the crosswalk because there's these power poles. If you put them right next to the crosswalk, the power pole would obscure the view. So by having double-sided, at least they can see it from both directions. So there's that one. It's about, normally we like to put them right at the crosswalk. And see if you can zoom just a little closer to the intersection. There we go. See how there we go. The PED sign is 15 to 20 feet back. I mean, is it worth moving it right in front of the power pole or, or keep it there? If we want to keep it there, we just want to make it double-sided and the high-vis neon green sign. And the other one, there you go. You can see the back of it as well. See, there's no sign right at the crosswalk. Keep going. There you go. You see the back of it? Because there's a power pole there as well, but at least it's in front of that. There is a street name sign that's right next to the crosswalk on right there. I mean, that would be the only thing we would have to swap out the street name sign for the PED crossing sign instead. But it's also, go back to the other where the sign was, you can see the back of the sign. There we go. So neither one is right at the crosswalk where we like to put with the downward arrow, so you know that, oh, here's where they're crossing, so.
And I think the first, where the mouse is at, which is on that side of the street,
That one.
that sign, could you place it on the existing electrical post?
I don't think, we can't put them on the power poles. We can put them on street lights, but not power poles.
Not power.
Yeah. So this one, we would have to move it like, about 10 feet right next to the power pole.
And then, do we have any audience comments on this one? Just, I saw 3 on this. Was it this item or just all 3?
All three.
Okay.
General questions. But on that one, isn't that about 10 feet from the power pole already?
Currently, yes.
Yeah, we would have to move it closer to the crosswalk.
10
I mean, is
feet.
it worth it to be closer to the crosswalk by moving it 10 feet to the power pole? That's why it's like, you know,
Does the current one have any red curb painting, the current proposal? I'm just wondering, a truck parks in front of that sign,
yeah, we do
nobody will
need
see
to
it.
put, good point. We need to add some red curb from that sign to the curve, ECR, so about 20 feet.
Which per the new.
Oh,
Bill,
that's
you
one thing I was
can't
gonna
park
bring up
there.
too.
Yeah.
The new, I'll get to that.
Yeah, so you have the new,
Daylighting.
daylighting or whatever they call it. Now, you can't park within 20 feet of the approach of
From either
a,
side. Right.
um,
Crosswalk.
crosswalk or wheelchair ramp, okay? So you look at it, it's the approach. So this would be, so that if there's a ramp, then you can't park there. So the city doesn't mean the city has to go out and paint red curb everywhere. It's just illegal now. They could cite you if you're within 20 feet.
For this one, I would like to see that painted, because the ped sign is so far from
Yes.
the crosswalk. On the other side as well.
Okay. What do you guys feel about the double-sided signs?
I like that.
I like it too.
Yeah, just because it is, the Workman is 35, so they are going at a clip. And then, I think even, because you can see the back of that other sign, at least
Mhm.
for eastbound. If it had a sign, a ped sign there, then at least you are aware that you're coming up to something you should be aware of.
I think that sign needs to be relocated to the street name sign.
Okay. Can we move the street name sign? Is it to this side? Or where should we move the street name sign?
So we should look at an option where we put the pedestrian sign with the street name sign above it.
Oh, okay,
Look and see if that's not feasible.
okay.
And then we may need to push the pedestrian sign up as close to the power pole as possible, and then put another one on the backs, the opposite
On
side
the
of the
opposite
pole.
side.
So that we could,
For westbound? Okay,
I hate adding more signs than we need because of the sign clutter issue, but in this case, due to the power pole, I think we have to.
Are there any other comments on this item?
So in our toolbox of traffic calming measures, just for the record, I think when we continue to monitor this, if we don't see improvements, there are some things that we potentially could look at later on, such as the rumble strips. Would it qualify for this street? We want to look into that. And then the rectangular rapid flashing beacon, the RRFB, if that would be applicable to this location and advisable. But just for the public and for the record, there are some additional measures once this is tested to see if we see improvement. There's some additional things we could look at.
right. We didn't suggest the rumble strips at this time is because they do have impact. Because whoever we place them in front of their house, they're
It's
gonna hear
noisy.
that all night, you know. So the other one, we had the rumble strips. The resident spoke to all the neighborhood, and they were agreeable to have a rumble strip in front of their house. So if it's something that we recommend, we would like to make sure that the people are in agreement, so they don't have to be, you know, scraped off at a later date. They're okay with having that rumble strip in front of their house. But yes, it can be looked at later to see if it still needs to be assessed. And then Joanne, it looks like number 1 and 5 and 6 are refreshing.
Yes.
So we would put those as a separate item.
Yes.
So I believe what I have voting on is the recommendations that were listed here, as well as the add additional red curb on the north and south side of Workman east of Toland, as well as to investigate putting a PED sign with an arrow placard underneath the existing street name sign, as well as put a PED crossing sign on both sides of the power pole, being the changes that were made.
Yes.
So all those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. We will move on to our fourth and final item, which is the review of Lark Ellen Avenue between Cameron Avenue and Larkwood Street. For this request, a resident requested a traffic review of the existing conditions along Lark Ellen Avenue between Cameron Avenue and Larkwood Street. It was reported that vehicles tend to speed through this segment and that in the last years is resulted in several collisions. The resident explained that his family had experienced 2 collisions involving drivers under the influence colliding with cars parked along the segment. The resident is requesting the implementation of traffic calming measures to address and mitigate the issues of speeding along the segment of Lark Ellen Avenue. And for the existing conditions, this segment does have a 40 mile per hour posted speed limit, as well as it is in a 25 mile per hour school zone based off West Covina High School as well as Cameron Elementary School. Per the Caltrans road classification system map, Larkwood Avenue is a minor arterial road, Cameron Avenue is a minor arterial road, and Larkwood Street is a local road. Along this segment, it's single-family residential with West Covina High School on the east side of the street and Cameron Park and Cameron Elementary School on the west side. The segment overall length is 1,170 feet. Lark Ellen for this segment is 60 feet wide with 2 lanes in each direction, and there is on-site parking allowed on both sides of the street except where red curb is present. As part of this review, site photos were taken and a field visit completed on March 3rd of 2025. And as well, Switter's review was looked at over a 3-year period between January 2022 through December of 2024. And from this review, it was found that there was 5 collisions reported along this segment during the subject time frame. Additionally, for this report, we did get average daily traffic counts as well as a 24-hour speed survey. The ADT counts were taken on Lark Ellen Avenue between Cameron Avenue and Larkwood Street on May 29th of 2024. And it was found that in the northbound direction, there was 6,740 vehicles per day. In the southbound direction, there was 7,047 vehicles per day, for a total of 13,787 vehicles per day. From the 24-hour speed survey, at the same location, it was found that the 85th percentile speed along Lark Ellen Avenue was 44 miles per hour, and the posted speed limit there is 40 miles per hour. And now, based on engineering judgment and in accordance with the City of West Covina traffic request guidelines, as well as guidelines found in the CAM UTCD and CVC, it is concluded that Lark Ellen Avenue between Cameron Avenue and Larkwood Street qualifies for the following, which the first is to remove and replace school zone signage located on the northwest corner of the intersection of Lark Ellen Avenue and Larkwood Avenue as for southbound traffic. The second recommendation is to install a 25 mile per hour school zone speed limit sign assembly along the west side of Lark Ellen Avenue, 80 feet south of Larkwood Avenue for southbound traffic. And the third is to install solar-powered your speed feedback signs with a 40 mile per hour speed limit sign on Lark Ellen Avenue for northbound and southbound vehicles. And we do have resident comment or audience comments on this one?
Yeah,
Oh.
before we go to that, let me just make a couple of comments. Number 2, can you go, go to the aerial?
Oh, yeah.
The 25 miles per hour school zone for southbound needs to be moved right across from the school. So it would be almost where the number 3 is, because it is a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit. So we have the number 3 going northbound. It would be okay to have your speed with the 40 because we're already past the high school. But the other one, we need to move it further away from service because we're having a 25-mile-per-hour school zone. We don't want to have it like 100 feet and then all of a sudden they got to go from 40 to 25, you know? So number 3 going southbound would have to be north of service more before it approaches it. Or the other option is to put it with the school speed zone. Instead of the 40, it would be with the 25-mile-per-hour zone instead, to remind people that it's 25 when children are present. And then one other thing I'd like to suggest, that there is the side stripe on the southbound, you know, the road narrowing above service. If we continue that side stripe all the way to Abington, I know it doesn't hit Lark Ellen, but it's right before the park boundary. See how it has the side stripe? If we continue that, put a curve in there to stop it, and then start it again right after the red, from service down to the park, the edge of the park, for southbound. Because if you notice, some of the collisions were hitting, I think it was parked cars. And I think the resident had an issue with
Mhm.
people, their cars getting hit on the side of the road. So if we just continue that side stripe, and this one is, the existing side stripe here is very wide. So if it's that wide, we need to put some diagonal stripes in there so people don't think it's another lane to drive in. So we may need to add that to our recommendations, to add the diagonal stripes within that existing side stripe, because it is pretty wide, and then continue it. That's my suggestion. So now we have other comments or?
Yeah, a couple on this one. Actually, what is this, Larkwood and Lark Ellen? That was actually my first traffic accident when I was 16 years old, so I'm very familiar with it. I'm just curious, so I know that the scope takes it from Cameron to Larkwood. Right as you pass Larkwood, though, the 2-lane becomes a single lane going northbound. Those single lanes are still 40 miles an hour, even though they're single lane? Okay. Okay, that's interesting to know. And then, yeah, I agree with pushing that forward. I don't know what street that is.
Service, I
Is
think?
it Service, the one that,
That's north of Lake Larkwood.
yeah, Service is where a lot of people are trying to get out to make that left. Okay. Well, Larkwood, so you would push the single lane out to
Well, it's not
Larkwood? or-
no, not the single lane. It has a side stripe. It has, see, isn't that
Yeah,
a
I
side
thought we
stripe?
can't-
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for parked cars. We can't
Yes.
drive in that, can we?
What?
We're not allowed to drive in that.
No,
Oh, okay.
that's what I'm saying. We would continue the side stripe
Okay.
from service down to
To
the
Lark-
park for
yes.
parking, and then put some diagonal stripes in it to make sure people aren't saying, oh, it's a second lane to drive in.
Right there, it's 2 lanes, it's 2 lanes.
Yeah, it
right
converges
there.
to 2 lanes
Two.
right after Service.
Right. So, but you still have a 7 foot, you could put the side stripe 7 foot from the curb, that denotes where the parking is.
Also, it would still be 2 lanes,
It
just
was,
with a
yeah, we're
side
not
stripe.
changing the lanes. It's
Okay.
just giving a stripe
Yeah.
for parking.
Yeah, no, that,
So that at night, or it kind of, you know, people don't drive wide, so they hit the parked car, they're, you know, keeping their lane.
yeah, that street is from Workman to continue going straight. It goes to 1 lane, I think, after under the freeway, till you get to Stewart. And then that whole place is a mess.
Plus the
Well, we
high,
get by
the
it.
high school is right there, so.
Yeah.
Michael, have you given thought to your speed sign?
Yes, I think we need to move it as you suggested, so that we're showing the 40.
Okay.
So we're not conveying an incorrect message to the people traveling on the roadway, that they feel they can go 40 when they're in a 25 zone when children are present. We don't want to give mixed messages, so I agree.
So do we want to have your speed sign for southbound with the 25 and move it closer to where it is 25, or further north from Service?
I think what causes confusion there is if we have a 25 posted where it's flashing to people driving, that the 25 only applies when children are present, and the machine isn't intelligent enough to know when children are present or not. So I'm a little bit conflicted that I think would be good to have it. The problem is, again, on the messaging, it's not going to be consistent based upon the time of day.
Right.
So therefore, I think it's better to go ahead and have it where it's 40 only.
Okay.
In terms of if we're having discussion, in terms of the striping, I think it's worthwhile looking at this segment, the transition from 2 lanes in each direction down to the 1 lane in each
The
direction.
northbound?
In reviewing an alternate striping plan where we reuse the available space. I'm almost of a mindset that it almost makes sense to just have 1 lane in each direction rather than 2. But we need to come up with a striping plan that makes sense and doesn't encourage speeding. It would actually encourage people slowing down. So that would be my recommendation, is to move forward with the recommendations as shown here with a follow-up in the next couple of months or whatever, of relooking at the striping along this segment, that we could make a recommendation to council.
if there's 1 lane in either direction, is there an offset for left turn? Because otherwise, at that point, you're going to cause,
Well, that's what I'm thinking, is a 2-way left turn lane
okay.
running down the
Perfect.
center, so that will eat up 12 to 14 feet of the space, and then have a 10 to 12-foot travel lane and then parking. But I don't want to design it on the back of a napkin kind of thing. I'd like for staff to sit down and really give it some thought, so that we're using the space wisely and effectively and come up with a good plan.
So it'd be kind of like a phase 2.
Exactly.
So phase 1 would be getting some things that are needed right now, and then phase 2, in the meantime, is looking at changing the striping on the street to be more effective.
Right, and then I'll have to admit, I don't know off the top of my head from a general plan perspective. I'm sure the circulation element has some things identified in terms of street classifications, and I don't know that we can just go in and start restriping streets from 4 lanes down to 2, even though from a logical standpoint, it probably makes sense. There may be some additional steps that we need to do from a general plan perspective, just so that we're doing things the right way.
Right, and then I know that the intersection of Cameron and Lark Ellen, when the high school is in and they've got the elementary school and the park on the other side, there may be a reason that it has 2 lanes because of that. So I think in the phase 2, we would have to look at analysis at the actual intersection to see what the backup is for parents dropping off, and I know that intersection right off the top of my head, I don't, but it has restrictions on turning
Mhm.
during school hours, and I can't remember if it's on Cameron or is it all
It's all four
directions?
directions.
It's all
four
four.
directions?
Mark Ellen, as you approach driving south to Cameron, there's the no turning between 2 PM and 3.
Left, right?
Yeah, it turns.
No, right turn.
Right turn, okay,
Yeah,
I
there's
know
no
there's
right
some,
turn.
Yeah, no right turn on red, I think.
No, there's no right turn from Mark Ellen to Cameron during
I
those
think it's
specific hours.
no right turn at all.
Yeah.
I'll look at it and see.
It's right there.
Oh, there we go.
That's one.
During school hours.
Yep.
I know we had a couple months ago or so.
I think they're all
to-
right turns in that
To
intersection.
change
are
those
blocked.
signs, because now high schools go to school later. They get like a half hour later start
Yeah,
than.
they don't start between 7 and 8 anymore. It's
Yeah,
now between 8
so
and
I
9.
think we'll have to check, Brian.
That's in the queue to update those.
Well, it's in the queue?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's coming up, those will be changed to the correct
Just put
time.
LED screens everywhere and that you can just program as needed.
Would be nice, huh? Get some big bucks. Be nice to do that. Okay. So, did you get
Yeah.
all the changes?
Yeah,
I'm
so
gonna
if
move
there's.
this one further up here.
Yes.
Okay.
So as of right now, the recommendations are the 3 recommendations given, as well as for item 3 here to move this north of Service Avenue, and to additionally follow up in the next couple of months to recommend to council a potential new striping plan, which will be brought to traffic committee first, correct?
And what about are we agreeing to the side stripe now, or wait?
I think we need to do a
Wait.
full
Wait,
investigation.
okay.
Mhm.
So that would be phase 2 as well. If, depending on what happens with the striping plan.
Michael, we agreed that detail 3 north of service to keep it at 40?
Yes.
That's my thought, but I'm certainly open to concerns or thoughts.
I just feel if it's marking 25 up there, they're
Number
using to
2.
gain momentum as they approach Cameron.
Here.
I think it'll defeat the purpose.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not 25. And this one should be probably about right here, after the school, not this one,
Mhm.
about right here or so. Because it's gonna be 40.
Let's, I'm following where you're going.
Mhm.
Why don't we, before we take this to council, relook at the location for the southbound sign and see if we can't try to push it as far
Further.
south as we think is reasonable?
Mhm.
North, you mean?
So for southbound, the recommendation was to
Yeah.
move
To
item
north of
3
service?
to north of service.
Okay.
And so let's relook at that in terms of the southbound sign, the feedback sign.
Yeah.
To see if we can't push it further south.
Oh, okay.
And still be effective and not create sign clutter where it just gets lost in
Mhm.
a sea of signs. Thank you, Robert.
No, thank you.
Do we want to wait then and bring this whole report, look at it, and then bring it back, or just?
My suggestion is move forward with these 3
Okay.
items with the adjustment on
Yes.
the location. So that we can get it in front of council and start moving on,
Mhm.
getting it implemented. And
Yes.
then we'll do the striping proposal
Okay.
over the
Mhm.
next couple of months that we could then present to council.
Okay,
If-
I agree.
I agree.
okay. You want to wait on that?
Yes, so the recommendations right now are, what's shown on the screen with item 3 in the northbound direction being moved slightly north to be out of the school zone. Item 3 in the southbound direction to be investigated to be moved south as far as it can to, while still being effective. And item 2 being installed further south within the school zone. And then we will be bringing this back in the next couple of months to recommend a potential new striping plan, which will then eventually be taken to council. So then, if that's correct, okay, all those in favor then?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So now, are there any audience comments on items not on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll go first.
I'll go first. I just have some questions. Thank you guys for having. Joanne, what's your title right now?
Deputy Community Development Director.
Community Development. Awesome. And Robert, you work for the city too?
I do.
And what's your title?
I'm a CIP project manager.
Project Manager. Awesome. Thank you guys. And you guys both work for Trans Tech, right?
Just us, yeah.
Yeah, both you guys, yeah. Awesome. So when a committee, when you guys are given these new committee items, is this, who are these coming from originally to Trans Tech for you guys to do this?
Residents.
So a resident could just say, I want you guys to look at my street, and you guys automatically go and take a look at it?
Yeah.
Awesome. And the city pays you guys for that?
Well, it depends. So the city did adopt a guideline recently, so there are levels to it. So these are the more technical reviews. There are administrative reviews as
I'm
well.
gonna say, because this takes a lot of time for you
Correct.
guys, so I'm just trying to figure out, like, a resident just says something, and then you guys get the paperwork, and you guys go and do a survey.
Correct. So we have
And-
resident request forms, as well as a policy on it with different levels of everything.
Okay.
So to your point, it'll start with a level 1, which is more so an administrative review, which might include recommending to PD for spot enforcement, depending on the concern. And then it kind of, as the concern is elevated, then it would move to level 2 or level 3, where level 3 would typically be for your more, physical measures, compared to level 2 might just be striping and things like that. So level 3 might be more expensive measures like flashing stop signs, your speed feedbacks, speed humps, kind of more physical objects. So there's different tiers and whatnot to the requests, but it all would start with a resident request.
Okay, yeah, because, I mean, that's a lot of work what you guys did, and I'm assuming you guys, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out the process. And then how do you get put on the committee? Are residents allowed on the committee? Is it just you guys are appointed because you're city employees? Do you guys know?
Well, currently, there is a municipal code section as far as what the committee entails. However, the city is currently working on updating that municipal code section. And we're working on bringing the traffic committee bylaws to the city council in the next couple of months.
Okay. Awesome. And then just for useless knowledge, how much do those signs cost that are the solar, your speed signs approximately? I mean, are they 10,000 or are they 3,000 or are they
So they-
50,000?
Depends on size of them is a factor. I don't recall the.
So I would say it's a range, we'll give you a
Yeah, yeah.
range.
Yeah, no,
And
totally.
it's
I don't
generally
wanna-
around 5 to 10,000.
Okay.
There are some models, I don't know that they're worth it, but they are more expensive. And
Yeah.
then some of the lower
With the
end
red and
models
blue
that
lights. Those are cool.
don't quite maybe perform as well.
I think they work. I'm just,
But I would say that 5 to 10,000 per unit is a good range.
awesome. Thank you.
So I wanted to touch on the new daylighting law. Kind of maybe start with a quick story. I live off of a street off of Cameron, right by Cameron Elementary, and one time in my very fast motorcycle, I was making a right turn onto Cameron, not realizing it was a school zone, and twisted the wrist and I'm doing 40 miles an hour and got picked off by an officer that was kind of tucked away in a little side street there, and got a ticket, for doing 35, 40, and a 25. And I asked the officer, why are you kind of hiding over there? Is the purpose of this to make money with citations, or is it to keep the kids safe? Because in my view, if you park your car out here, parents would probably see that and they'll probably slow down. I would have slowed down, and that would keep the kids safe, but it wouldn't get you your citations. He didn't really like that whole little display thing. So now I'm going to get to the daylighting aspect of this. I feel as a request or that it would behoove the city to paint the curbs red in adherence with the new law. just to kind of show, good faith in keeping the kids safe, keeping, sure, as adults, I've been to court, ignorance is no excuse. We're supposed to know the laws and follow the laws. But I think it would be a good faith measure to paint the curbs red in adherence with the law, and I think it would be more effective to the safety of the community. And that's it.
Okay, are there any other? Brian?
Okay. Are there any other audience comments on items not on the agenda? And committee member comments on items on the agenda?
No.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Our next meeting will be as scheduled, the second Tuesday of April. Thank you. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.